Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in. It was just a few shoe reviews back when I reviewed the Saucony Ride, which was by far the most boring shoe I think I'd ever worn. I didn't really like it at all. So I was quite skeptical about trying any of the Sauconys anytime too soon. There's so many shoes out there to try, but I had some folks in the run club who really liked this Endorphin Speed, and then Mimi, my personal sales rep down at Fleet Feet, not really my personal sales rep, but in my little world I like to think so, she said with the changes from that version 2 to this version 3 that she really thought it's something I would like. You know, I kind of like to do more of those daily trainers, ones where you're going to get a lot of miles for your money. So I went ahead and tried it. I am 24 miles in with this shoe. It's the favorite shoe I've ever worn. So with that, let's start off with the basics first. Neutral support shoe. It's made for road and track running. It's got neutral cushioning. It has an 8mm drop, so the heel is 8mm higher than the forefoot on this. I wear size 12. This weighed in at 8.99 ounces. That's 255 grams. That's the lightest shoe that I've ever had on my foot. I found it true to size. I am going to give it a sustainability rating or grade of B. Now, Saucony, they put in their marketing stuff that this style is vegan and it contains recycled material. I didn't know you could have a vegan shoe, but here we go. Wouldn't all shoes be vegan? Who knows? But they do have recycled material. We don't know what content, but at least the fact that they acknowledge it and put it in their promotional material, it's going to give them a B for sustainability. Good job, Saucony. Cost $170. So the changes from this version 2 to version 3, we're going to start off with Saucony. They like to put their shoes into 3 general categories: an everyday trainer, speed trainer, and a race day shoe. So Saucony Speed, as the name would suggest, this was a speed shoe. But Saucony's goal was to make this a bit more of a hybrid between, move it from pure speed into something more of an everyday trainer, so a hybrid. And they did that through 2 main ways that they tried to accomplish that. The first, this shoe has a nylon plate, so it is in versions 2 and version 1. But what they've done on this one is they've expanded a little bit and winged it. So in versions 1 and 2 you don't see this, but they've widened it out and winged it up a bit, so you can, if you look, you can just see it coming out this piece here, and it's even harder to see on this side. Some shoes it's easier to see than the colors on this one, but so they took that nylon plate in there. There's an S curve shape, well, most all those plates are, but they narrowed it, widened it out a little bit, moved it up. The second thing they did is they bulked it up. They put a little bit more cushion on it, hopes that, you know, this material is going to help it to last longer, be able to use it for that everyday trainer. That added bulk, it did increase the stack height on this slightly from the previous versions, and it also added a little weight. And again, I just said this is the lightest one I'd ever worn, but add a little bit more weight with that cushioning. So there were also some fairly radical changes, or at least I consider radical changes, from the version 2 to the version 3 in the upper. And primarily being that they've gone ahead with this single layer mesh. It seems, for me this year, that seemed a lot of my shoes were running hot. And the only ones that weren't were ones with single layer mesh. Single layer, nice, airy, cool shoe. I mean, it feels it even when you put it on. It just doesn't feel as heavy and cloying as the other ones. I also like what they've done with the tongue. They've cut down on the padding on the tongue. They actually cut down on the padding, a lot of the heel and ankle collar as well. I think they cut down a bit more strategic to it, but you know, on the tongue, I really like the way they've done this. It's thin. You can see how thinly cut it is, the tongue here. And then as far for the padding around the ankle and the heel, they've gone with, I'd almost say it's more, you can't really see it on this one. when I had the Puma Nitro, they had what I call these bumper pads. But they've done something similar here, except they extend it further around the back, which for me was a great move, because the problem with the Puma Nitro is with the heel slippage. I didn't have any of that with this shoe, which really brings me right into the fit of this. Listen, simply put, this was the most comfortable shoe I've put on my foot ever. So this nylon plate, my foot sits in there so nice and centered, and just a nice solid base. It just felt great. And then as far as you combine that with this upper, which Saucony even says this is called a form fit upper, which they says the design hugs every part of your foot for a personalized fit and feel. It did for me, I'll tell you. So this toe box isn't necessarily narrow, but my narrow feet felt like it was built just for them. I mean, it clasped me just nice, not just up in the front, but all the way around the back. I love the way my heel just dropped in there nicely, and the way it cupped it. So it checked every box for me. And then on top of all that, this nice light airy mesh. Boy, it's just such a comfortable light shoe that I felt like I could just fly in it. So, which was a lot for me to try and be able to fly. But so with that being said, I've worn it 3 times, and the first 2 were for tempo workouts. The third one was just going to be an easy workout, and it ended up, I just was feeling good, running easy, and it ended up being closer to a tempo speed for me than an easy speed. So I'm 3 for 3 on this one. So if you've seen any of my other reviews, I've put these shoes into 1 or 2 categories. Either they're rockers or snappers. Rockers, kind of one of those ones that kind of roll and propel you forward that way. Snappers seem to, for me, spring load more and then pop you up. For me, this is certainly a snapper shoe. So the combination of the nylon plate plus this, what they call this Power Run PB, I don't know if you can see it there, and that's Saucony's proprietary material. Every company has their material that they put in the shoe that's supposed to give you the light. It's going to be light, yet it's going to give you that energy return. Well, this combination of this Power Run PB and this nylon plate for me has been fantastic. Like I said, I'm 3 runs in, but right now I'm really enjoying the honeymoon with this one. But I'm only 24 miles in, and all my shoes, the big thing is to see just how well they hold up for 300 miles. So I'll be back to see just how well they do. I'll be surprised if I'm going to get a lot more than 300 out of this shoe. There's not a lot of rubber along the sole, and boy, I'm a heavy heel striker, so already there's little bits of fraying right along the edge of the shoe at 24 miles, but we'll see just how well it holds up. I'll make sure I keep good notes about where I start to see things. If it starts to break down, maybe it won't. We'll see about that. So if you'd like to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, we're always putting out these different shoe reviews as well as our state races. Subscribe, hit the notification button. You'll know every time we post one of our videos. I also like to hear your thoughts. Anybody who's wore previous versions, what they think of those versions going from the 2 to the 3. I know a lot of times I'm not a fan of putting more of shoes that add a cushioning, but of course I never worn the previous version, so I can't go back and say, gauge the difference between the 2. So I'd be interested to hear anybody else's thoughts about that. But again, for me, at this point, my favorite shoe to date. So thanks so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and then keep racing the nation.